On the dark night of 8th August 1963, a Royal Mail train was traveling from Glasgow to London. Inside one of its coaches were bags filled with cash, worth nearly £67 million today, or approximately 800 crore rupees. The train driver, Jack Mills, was driving rapidly through the darkness of the night when suddenly, at a crossing, a red signal light appeared. This was highly unusual because at that time and place, a red signal made no sense at all. Still, Jack Mills immediately applied the brakes and stopped the train in the middle of a deserted track. For a brief moment, silence took over, but hidden behind that silence was a master plan, one that would execute the biggest robbery of the century, the Great Train Robbery, in which the train itself was hijacked. Welcome once again to DarkFile. Viewers, this may sound like a movie story, but in real life, criminals carried out a suspense-filled plan and looted millions of pounds from a British government train without firing a single bullet. Everything began months earlier when a few well-known criminals in London gathered to plan a new operation. Bruce Reynolds, the mastermind behind the plan, began creating an extraordinary robbery with his associates. He possessed secret information about Britain's National Postal Service, Royal Mail. This secret came from a senior Royal Mail security officer whose identity remains unknown to this day. The information revealed that the Glasgow to London train carried a special coach called the High Value Package Coach, HVP. On a specific day, a very large amount of money would be transported in that coach, and that was the target. Bruce Reynolds and his associates were known criminals, but they had no experience robbing trains. Therefore, they brought in another London-based gang with train robbery experience, the infamous South Coast Raiders. Slowly, the team expanded, and eventually more than 15 people became part of the plan. They decided to rob a government train without firing a single bullet. This was no ordinary robbery. It required months of planning. On 7th August 1963 at 6:50 p.m., the train departed from Glasgow Central Station, heading toward London. It was scheduled to arrive at London Euston Station at 4 a.m. the next morning. The train consisted of 12 coaches and 72 post office staff members who sorted mail during the journey. This train was designed specifically for transporting parcels and mail, allowing distribution at stations without stopping. Mail bags were exchanged using elevated hooks and nets while the train slowed down slightly. Through this process, mail was distributed efficiently across multiple stations. The coach targeted for the robbery was not yet attached to the train. It was safely parked at Neen Valley Railway Station. This coach was known as the HVP coach, as it usually carried large amounts of cash sent via money orders. In 1960, the Post Office Investigation Branch ordered enhanced security for HVP coaches, including alarm systems. By 1961, 3 HVP coaches were fitted with alarms, and older coaches without alarms were placed in reserve. But on the day of the robbery, all alarm-equipped HVP coaches were out of service. As a result, a reserve coach, M3024M, with no security system was used. This was a crucial tip provided by a Royal Mail insider. When the train reached Neen Valley Station, the HVP coach was attached second behind the engine, another critical detail known to the robbers. Normally, an HVP coach carried around £300,000, but due to a bank holiday weekend, the amount on board that day was nearly £3 million, almost 12 times the usual amount. This was no coincidence. The gang had been planning for this exact day for months. As night fell, 58-year-old Jack Mills continued driving the train toward its destination. Nearby, the robbers were hiding in bushes beside the railway track. Around 3 a.m. on 8th August, one gang member tampered with the signal at Sears Crossing. He blocked the green light with a glove and powered the red light using a battery. When the train approached the crossing, Jack Mills was shocked to see a red signal. Royal Mail trains were never meant to stop there. Still, he applied the brakes. silence followed. The assistant driver exited the train to contact the signalman using a trackside telephone, only to discover that the line had been cut, part of the robbers' plan. As he turned back, the robbers emerged and overpowered him. Some robbers climbed onto the engine from both sides. When Jack Mills resisted, one attacker struck him on the head with an iron rod, knocking him unconscious. At the same time, other gang members disconnected the engine and the first two coaches from the rest of the train. Their plan was to take the train away from the scene. About 1 kilometer away stood Bridego Bridge, where their truck was waiting. They had brought along a retired railway driver, but he panicked upon seeing the unfamiliar engine controls. Left with no choice, the robbers revived Jack Mills and forced him to drive the engine and two coaches to Bridego Bridge. Once at Bridego Bridge, the robbers broke into the HVP coach. Inside were 5 staff members who were injured, tied up, and forced to lie face down as the robbery began. The HVP coach contained 128 bags filled with cash, consisting of £1 notes, £5 notes, and 10 shilling notes, weighing nearly 2.5 tons. The train was positioned on the bridge, with a truck waiting below. The robbers had only 15 minutes. They formed a human chain and loaded 120 out of 128 bags onto the truck. The remaining 8 were left behind due to time constraints. Before leaving, one robber warned the staff not to move for 30 minutes, threatening their lives. The gang escaped using an Austin Lodestar truck and 2 Land Rovers, all bearing the same license plate number BMG 757 to confuse witnesses. After a 45-minute drive, they reached their hideout near Oakley Village, about 43 kilometers away. They listened to police communications via VHF radio, which helped them stay ahead. At the hideout, they celebrated and even played Monopoly using real cash. However, their celebration was short-lived. Police announced a 50-kilometer search radius based on the 30-minute warning given to the staff. Panic set in. The gang distributed the stolen £2.5 million, wiped fingerprints, and assigned one man to burn the hideout. That man took the money but fled without burning the place. Police later raided Leatherslade farmhouse, finding empty cash bags, mail, a hastily repainted truck, and most importantly, fingerprints on the Monopoly board. Those fingerprints matched criminal records. Within days, 14 of the 16 gang members were arrested. 2 escaped forever: the replacement train driver and the mysterious Royal Mail security officer. The court declared it the robbery of the century, sentencing most members to 30 years in prison. The bridge became known as Train Robbers Bridge. Jack Mills never returned to work due to his injuries and died 7 years later from trauma. We hope you enjoyed this DarkFile video. Thank you for your love, likes, shares, and comments. See you in the next video.